You ever get that feeling something big is happening right under everyone's nose, but no one can quite put their finger on it yet? That's exactly what it feels like right now in Formula One. Because while everyone's been focused on Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, there's a quiet revolution unfolding. And it's orange. McLaren orange. What they pulled off in Miami? That wasn't just a good race. That was a statement. And now the paddock is buzzing with one simple, unsettling question. What the hell are they doing that no one else can figure out? Miami wasn't just another solid weekend for McLaren. It was domination. Straight up, lights to flag, take no prisoners domination. We're talking about a 40-second gap to the rest of the field. In Formula One terms, that's an eternity. Enough to turn heads even in the front-running garages. But here's the twist. This isn't just about raw pace. This is about consistency, race pace, tire management. McLaren isn't just fast, they're sustainably fast. And that's the kind of performance that raises eyebrows, especially in a sport where marginal gains are everything, and even a tenth of a second per lap can win or lose a championship. So naturally, the whispers started. How is McLaren doing this? What's the trick? Are they onto something others aren't? And if so, how legal is it? That's when the paddock chatter turned to one theory in particular: tire temperature control. Now, this might sound niche, but in modern F1, it's everything. The key to lap time, consistency, degradation, everything comes down to keeping the tires in that elusive optimum window. Too hot or too cold, and performance drops off a cliff. Get it right, and you look like a genius. And apparently McLaren has cracked that code. Red Bull had already been quietly suspicious. This wasn't something new, actually. They'd been keeping an eye on McLaren's tire behavior since last season. But now, after Miami, the volume's been turned up. Rumors say the magic lies in their brake cooling system, specifically how heat from the brakes is being kept away from the tires. If true, it would explain why McLaren's pace actually gets better toward the end of stints, while other cars are falling apart. And let's be clear, this is not the kind of thing that's easy to catch. These systems live deep within the brake drums, in a zone with just enough regulatory wiggle room to allow innovation without tripping technical infractions. Outwardly, everything appears legal. But internally, that's where the wizardry could be happening. Now, while Christian Horner of Red Bull has been raising an eyebrow or two, Toto Wolff, he's taken a completely different stance. He came out and gave McLaren full credit, straight-up respect, called them serious people with integrity, and praised their technical staff, Zach Brown, Andrea Stella, the whole lot. According to Toto, they're not cheating. They just nailed it. He even took a bit of a jab at the usual finger-pointing, saying the mindset of accusing those who are winning doesn't help anyone. But it's not just empty praise. Toto also delivered a warning to the rest of the grid, including his own team. Stop whining and get to work. If you're losing 30, 35, sometimes even 40 seconds over the course of a race, that's not someone else's fault. That's on you. That's a performance gap, not a regulatory breach. And here's where things get really interesting. Even Horner, Mr. I've got a protest letter half written at all times, has started changing his tone. After Miami, he shifted from suspicion to admiration, publicly acknowledging McLaren's superior tire management and calling it a lesson for the rest of the field. That's a big pivot. And when you start hearing that kind of tone shift from someone as notoriously combative as Horner, you know something real is happening. So what's really going on? What's the secret sauce? According to the most recent info coming from insiders and paddock journalists, McLaren's edge may be coming from how they manage airflow through their brake ducts, not just to cool the brakes, but to prevent that heat from ever reaching the tires. Apparently, the outer shell of the brake system complies perfectly with FIA standards, but internally, it's a whole different story. Inside that brake drum, there's more room for innovation, and it seems like McLaren has taken full advantage. And the brains behind it all? That might be Rob Marshall. Yeah, that Rob Marshall, the former Red Bull engineering veteran who spent 17 years with the team before jumping ship to McLaren. He's believed to be the one who brought the initial concept over, still half-baked, and now it's matured into something that could be season-defining. What McLaren may have done is develop a more intelligent way of directing airflow inside the brake assembly, channeling heat away from the areas that affect tire surface temperature and into zones where it can dissipate harmlessly. It's clever, it's elegant, and most importantly, so far, it's legal. Andrea Stella, McLaren's team principal, has been quietly hinting at this all along. In interviews, he's emphasized that the team's main strength lies in keeping the tires in the sweet spot longer than anyone else. No weird degradation spikes, no sudden drop-offs, just stable, consistent grip. Even on hotter tracks, where others struggle, McLaren seems locked in. He hasn't denied that there's a technical advantage. Quite the opposite. He's made it clear there is engineering merit involved. And that's what's frustrating everyone else. It's working, it's smart, and it's within the rules. The FIA actually looked into this last year. They checked McLaren's brake systems and apparently didn't find anything out of bounds. Which means unless someone files a very specific and formal protest that forces the FIA to open up McLaren's internal schematics, the team can just keep doing what they're doing. And that brings us to the million-dollar question. How long can this go on? If no one challenges it formally, and if no new technical directives are introduced to ban or limit it, McLaren might be sitting on a game-changing advantage all the way through to 2026. And make no mistake, this has reignited an old debate in F1. How far can you push the boundaries before the FIA steps in? We've seen this before. Think about Braun GP's double diffuser in 2009, or Mercedes' DAS system in 2020. Both were clever, legal, and ultimately short-lived. Because once the FIA senses that something is tipping the competitive balance too far in one direction, they tend to act. Not always immediately, but sooner or later. This situation is even more delicate because McLaren's concept, if real, is in the so-called gray area of the regulations. Not explicitly banned, not fully protected either. It exists in that liminal space where innovation happens until it doesn't. And this leads to an even bigger question. What happens in 2026? That's when the next big regulation overhaul is coming. If McLaren shows up to that new era with a proven, unchallenged system that's already delivering wins, the whole championship could be shaped around it. The FIA will be under pressure, big time. Let it run and risk another Red Bull-style domination. Crack down early and risk being seen as punishing technical brilliance. Either way, we're at a tipping point. What McLaren may have built isn't just a clever piece of engineering. It's a challenge to the very framework of the sport. And the FIA's next move could determine not just how this season plays out, but the next few years of Formula One. So yeah, the orange car that just casually blew away the field in Miami, that might be the future of F1 right there. Not because it's got the most horsepower, or the flashiest sponsor deal, or the biggest driver salary, but because someone, somewhere, figured out how to think different. And that's always dangerous in this game. Now the question is, will anyone catch up in time to stop them? Or are we watching the birth of the next big era in F1? One perfectly engineered, perfectly legal, and perfectly orange. So what do you think? Should the FIA step in? Or has McLaren simply earned the right to run away with it?